when you're ready, Dave. Oh, Myles is not.
Oh,
sorry.
Well,
Sorry.
It's even better. He's flexing.
Yeah.
Méphiston Red! Méphiston Red! Warpstone Glow!
I'm ready. Hey guys, just another Canadian morning, drinking my Clamato.
That was a very
Today we have
dramatic
Myles.
entry.
Hi
My
guys.
God. Wow, what a dramatic entry that was. That was like coming in the Charybdis.
Yeah, I know. You're not ready. So
No.
welcome guys. New episode today in English. So we're doing a little interview and discussion with Myles. So I guess he's drinking cockle juice, but us, we're drinking Clamato, spicy ones in the morning. It's important.
So this is a London fog. It's known as foggy London. It's Earl Grey tea with frothed milk on top with some vanilla extract in there.
Sounds
very
delightful.
Sweet. Just like me. Yeah.
I prefer clam juice. We had that discussion anyway in Canada.
It's a hipster drink. It's definitely a hipster drink.
Thank you to all to be here today. Thanks to Abyss, as usual, for sponsoring our podcast. So we have Myles also today from LillegendStudio. So we're going to get to that. But again, thank you for being here today. Have fun with us talking about heresy. So without further ado, so some of you know Myles. We never did a formal interview, but Myles gave a couple of masterclass in Canada at Abyss again for Horus Heresy, color theory. We did some advanced painting technique. So yeah, good to have you, Myles, finally.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's strange, people only seem to contact me when a new edition of Heresy is coming out.
Yeah, sorry.
Like I've been hearing from people I haven't talked to in years. Like, oh hey, how you doing? It's like, oh hey, how you doing? Like, are you still painting? I'm like, yeah, just about. Yes, I'm still alive. I'm still here. I'm still doing things. I'm still swimming.
He's still alive.
Still alive.
So tell us a bit about, for people that don't know you, other than your cool shirt.
Oh yeah, my cool branded shirt that's absolutely drenched in paint. Oh gosh, who am I? Yeah, it's always an awkward conversation opener. You know, I've had a couple of kids, and when I'm talking with the other parents, I go, "What is it you do?" And it's hard to pitch in a couple of minutes exactly what it is you do, because I do social media, I do video editing, I do PDF editing, I produce tutorials, I do commission painting. I own my own studio now. I own this, so I guess like a small business owner, artist. But ultimately, I like to go with the. Am I allowed to swear on this show?
You can just edit it at the end, but
I just swear.
We're gonna blame it on that you're Welsh, so get Welsh.
Okay, I won't. I'll try not to swear too much. So I like going for the most hipster answer, and I say I'm an entrepreneur. But that I can already feel the viewership dipping off that. I guess ultimately, I am a miniature commission artist. I've been doing it for over 10 years now professionally. I started up around the time when Games Workshop were releasing a new kit every single week. So Saturday morning, I get into Games Workshop, pick up the latest release, paint it. Come Sunday evening, I would list it on eBay. And from there, built up a list of clienteles. The Heresy really took off, and that had a much, much greater emphasis on the look of the army rather than the way it played. I mean, playing is obviously very important, but the emphasis within the Heresy community, from my side, how I've experienced it, has always been more on the painting side of things, which suited me down to the ground. I helped produce and make a podcast for several years called the Age of Darkness podcast, focused around the worlds of the Horus Heresy. We are planning more episodes. Don't worry, we are planning more episodes. Again, only around the time of the new Heresy release. And since then, I've opened up doing tutorials for people, commissions. I run a Patreon. God, have I talked for long enough?
Yeah.
What do you do?
So you've been a long way from just being an OnlyFans guy for hands and nails, doing close-up pictures of your hand.
I do have a. I'm not exactly sure how much this is going to get cut, but I do have a like a burn notice. So burn notice is when a spy gets revealed, and he has like 24 hours to get out of the dodge. It's burn notice. I have an idea for OnlyFans involving historic pictures of my wife.
Oh, you're gonna go there again?
If things really go badly, yes, I do have that bomb. So look out for that come 2026.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a date. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Hi to your wife. But hey, you have kids now, so you need to feed them.
They need to feed, they need to eat. Yeah, they need to eat. I know. I'm sure most of the mothers do OnlyFans there anyway. I'm behind the curve on that.
Yeah, you need to feed them just like the machine that is the Imperium. So
Like,
we're
honest to
today we're here
goodness.
to talk of the genesis of that fucked up
For
Imperium. So the Horus Heresy.
people,
So again,
yeah,
new edition coming in. So we thought, yeah, we're gonna talk to the guy.
I know for people who have kids and take them to schools, like some of those mothers are absolute filth, and my school is no different either.
True story.
So
People
with
are
that
in.
great introduction, what do we think of the new heresy? So maybe David, you want to start?
God.
So general view of what all you've seen, the hearsay, the leak, the article by Games Workshop, the cry, the joy, the anxiety. How would you maybe summarize it a bit of what's your feeling toward? Because we're close. Pre-order are
Yeah.
next weekend from when we're recording. So maybe same weekend as when we're gonna get out the episode next week. So what do you think?
I'm not a professional in communication, but it looks like they had a team really working on managing the whole information and whole articles. And I have no proof of that, but I think the leak was created by this team. Or if they didn't create it, they really, really manage it well. So good work on communication. They gave us interesting information, interesting snippet on what's coming in. So that's really, really interesting. It looks like we had an episode where we discussed that Game Workshop are doing now when they do a new edition. Sometimes it's a new edition, sometimes it's a new game disguised as a new edition. It looks like we're getting a new game. So that's going to be interesting. It might bring more new people in, but it might have the bad side effect of people being advertised their game, a new edition, not seeing what their game in it and being like not happy with it.
Yeah.
So
They retconned it a bit themselves. So at the beginning, the first release of the new edition, like they were saying, the rules are not going to change. And as all the rules were getting leaked or showed, I think it's the article. It's one of the latest article. They even started the article by now you should have realized this is going to be a new game. So their own marketing team realized, yeah, we should have maybe not tried to sell it as it's going to stay the same. So all the nice books that we were talking about that you have in the background, like, yeah, it's a bit like all the other games of this style. So new edition, your books are done. It's a 3-year cycle. You have to rebuy the books. They're gonna redo the rules. So we can get to what you think, Myles. You've been playing more than us, or at least being around the Horus Heresy. But I think it's a bit of a bigger shock for many people because we were used to the black books that were taking years and they were staying on, and now it's the first time I think that it's showing it's going to be like a normal Games Workshop cycle of you got to change your rules. So I think that's for myself. That's why I see me. I'm really excited because it's new model, new stuff. We can get into that, but like I guess I'm more used to that being more of a 40k AOS Warhammer player compared to from what I see from the heresy groups we have here that are more like, why are you changing my rules? So yeah, bit different. What do you think,
Yeah,
Myles? What's your headspace?
I guess the core of everything we just talked about there is change, right? And change is always anxiety-inducing, be it in the rules, the miniatures, the style of presentation, all of which is so drastically different from Heresy 1.0. Now, Heresy 1.0 was driven by a very small niche studio within Games Workshop. They weren't properly integrated into the full machine. And now they are integrated into the full machine. We have to take certain elements of good and bad with it. on good hand, we get regular releases. On the bad hand, are those releases up to the same kind of quality as the 1.0? And another big consideration we need to make is Alan Bligh, who was the father of the heresy. Nobody else could write with such alacrity and at such pace than that man. He is simply irreplaceable. He is simply irreplaceable. And 2.0 had that poison chalice of an edition where they had to change it so fundamentally from 1.0 to take it on to modernize the game mechanics of it. And we have to take into consideration, this was done at the time of COVID as well, where normally you get a more thorough playtesting overhaul of a system that simply didn't go through that. And for such a drastic change, yes, the 2.0 has its limitations. The books, the sequential books that came out, I would argue weren't the best of quality, especially compared them to 1.0. But it feels like in 3.0, I'm seeing old faces come back. I am seeing, like a rather tongue-in-cheek started the interview, like I only get contacted around this time of the new edition. Well, it seems like people are far more willing to engage with the changes of 3.0 than 2.0. Okay, like big differences. Force organization chart. How have we felt about the change in the force organization chart from third edition, which was released, in like the 90s, early 2000s, to now? How do we feel about that?
By me first, a bit of a segue of what you're saying. I think that 2.0 is not really the real edition that Games Workshop wanted to put their stamp on. As you said, it was during COVID. Alan Bligh had passed away, and so they probably decided to fire up and the plan of changing the studio from Forge World to Games Workshop. So it kind of looked like, I don't know for you guys, but it kind of looked, I played a bit 2.0, and for a bit of 1.0, it kind of looked like it was like a child between what it was and what they wanted it to be, but they didn't have the time or the resources. Because like you said, they kept part of the fourth organization, but they added rules more akin to 40K, let's say. While 3.0 looks like the game they wanted from the get-go. So it's a different game. They changed the rules. It's closer to 40K and what they have with AOS. So, but on the force organization itself, I'll need to play it to see it. I know David is not the big fan of list building. So it looks like it's going to be an exercise of list building. But if I want to be open-minded, from everything I saw on the internet, the good and the bad, and people complaining, crying, whatever, Rite of War being there but not being the same thing, I think it's going to give a lot of options. And I like the idea, like you're unlocking options with the Centurion, which was not consoles that were not really used in 2.0 or 1.0. So I like the flavor they give to it, but is it going to be clunky? Is it going to be too restrictive? I don't know. But at least for me, when we play more of a narrative type, even for Horus Heresy people, meaning like we're going to discuss what forces we want to play, what scenario we want to play. So there's really not a big match play part. So even if the force organization don't make sense, usually I'm going to be the guy with David. Well, David is going to try to follow it more than me. Then he's going to see that I'm not going to listen to nothing, not follow anything. So he's going to cry in a corner, then he's going to come back. Okay, what the fuck are you doing? But we end up not really following the rules. But if we say we're going to use it as it is, at least for me, I want to give it a chance that it looks like it's customizable with prime slots and everything. But
so my snap reaction to this, it is a visual learner's tool. It's much easier to understand army building when you look at the graphics rather than read the words that go alongside it. Because these rules, which I'm sure we'll talk about the style and the presentation of how the rules are written. But if you just look at the graphics, okay, you take this commander, it unlocks these choices. For me, I prefer that, and it reminds me a little bit of the 4th edition Chaos Warrior army, where you bought a warlord and then you bought a retinue alongside him or her. It feels like, so you take a character, it unlocks certain options, and then you can take another detachment to add in. And when you think about all your favorite stories in the Horus Heresy, just rattling a couple off, I know Armatura, for example, in the Shadow Crusade, a lot of these stories involve multiple legions and multiple arms of the Imperium war machine all together. Whereas in the previous edition, you could certainly ally together. But it's not as streamlined as it is today. So I think what this new army list does is open it up to create more thematic armies easier.
Yeah, and it's a thing they've been doing with AOS. So in the last editions of AOS, they have this graphic to choose your. In 3.0 of AOS, it was to choose your detachment. Now it's your. Is it still detachment day with the general or regiment?
I think.
Anyway, unimportant. But it's really graphic. And in the latest edition of AOS, and 40K, they even added color coded. They color coded stuff.
Great.
So they're really going the visual direction. So, and from the leak we've seen, that's what they're doing. Like you said, like you see your slot then opens more slot. Then if you change this slot to a prime one, then open other slot. So it's graphic. So it's maybe going to be more or less or the same complexion level as before. But I think until we have the full context and we see it and we try it, it's going to be hard. But my first reaction was for me at least more of in the line of it's different and I can choose whatever I want. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this is definitely a new game. It's not a refinement of 2.0. It's a clean break. For anybody who's anxious about the new edition and not being able to take what you did in the previous editions, I really don't think that's going to be a problem with some of the rules that come. So just there in Army, for example, you will be able to create certain scenarios where you're able to take that type of force. And if when exactly is this episode going out? Is it after the previews?
Should be if we have time next week. So yeah, so it should be before the release.
I think I can say this. So, for example, the White Scar Praetor on Jetbike isn't in the core rules. It's in the legacies, which because there isn't a model for it, and this is one of the give and take scenarios we have with Games Workshop now. So on the one hand, we get overhaul the rules. On the other hand, we get something like that, where one of the core characteristics of White Scars is them zipping around on bikes really quickly. Well, can't do with your Primarch, can't do with a character, but that it will be in legacies, which we've already had confirmed through the website.
Yeah.
All of those are match play legal,
which is great.
You can use it. So I can anticipate some anxiety when it comes to that kind of thing, but everything that you've had previously will be in the legacies, and you can use it straight out of the bat.
Yeah, and the discussion we always had for that type of stuff, because we lived it with at least AOS also, because they changed a lot since last edition on the Stormcast. They discontinued at least half of the models, because as you said, the Games Workshop model, it's a company. It's at some point, if there's no model or they don't plan to do a model for now, they're going to remove the rules in some way, because that's their business model. But when you play with other people, like if we forget tournaments or like, you can just have a discussion with people, and they said they're going to support the rules and even to some degree in match play. So if you just do it in advance, you can bring your White Scar Praetor and Jetbike if you had the model, and you can always find an alternative. So it's just for a certain amount of time, it's gonna need discussions between people when you play, which should be the way.
Anyway.
Yeah, sometimes it can be harder, but it's gonna be a reality. But I think that, like you said, the way that they came up front right off the bat and they said, we're gonna support all the stuff while we do our thing in Legacy. So I think it's an indicator that they are sensible to that. So
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So we touched it a bit. So for the organization, but if we go to the rules, I don't know. Maybe not. We don't want to go detailed, but what rules caught your eyes, or what are you expecting in the new edition? So. One thing we can go is, like, I heard in your episode that it caught me, like you said it looked like some of the rules were written by AIs, which I think it's what I said myself when I read them.
Oh, ouch!
I mean, there's one of the rules that takes up an entire paragraph when all it could have said was roll 2d6, pick the highest. Now, one of my students is a solicitor, and I asked him, okay, do these rules actually clarify things? Because I thought, okay, they overwrought language to make clarity king. So they plugged into AI, make this rule as crystal clear as possible. Ultimately, no, it reads like gobbledygook. Like, nobody reads the rules like this unless... I have here that the games designers are like video game designers, and the rules very much like read like that. So, like, if this, then that, which happens... Or it's going to be murder to read the rule book and actually understand it. That's why I'm so thankful for people like Max, who do that donkey work for me, and they can just tell me what to do. I mean, that's how I learned how to play the game. That's how I've learned to play every edition of the game. I've never sat down and read a rule book from start to finish. I've picked up pieces, like I've referred to them when I've needed to know how to do psychic tests or fallback moves or whatever. But that rule book is a horrific read. I mean, people complained about the End of the Death, volumes 1 to 3. This is just torture reading these rules. But it's never been my favorite aspect of it. The mechanics of the game, which are the most eye-catching pieces of the mechanics of the game. The duels really stand out to me. That really caught my eye early on. Because it feels like a scene within a movie, and they've really worked on trying to drag that aspect out and make it a bit crunchier, the mechanics. Now, from what I've seen from people playing the game, from playtesters, people with early reviews, is that at the moment they are slightly lopsided, the duels, because there's one very obvious choice that's better than any other choice. It's the one that gives you extra damage on your rolls. And if you keep spamming that, that becomes kind of like the norm. So I'm wondering, as a community, whether we're going to self-police and say you can't use the same gambit twice in a row, or whether it's going to be like open season, or whether we'll see more powerful gambits from individual characters. But at the moment, from what I'm hearing, it is a little bit lopsided like that. And I think it will rely on like the goodwill of the community to make that mechanic slightly more interesting to use in game.
So make the more fun choices, not the good choices, which is often the case. But I think for those challenges, it's going to be really important. But myself too, it hit me like it looks really cinematic. Like for sure, it can add more bookkeeping, it can slow down the game. But if you think about it, when we read the books, when you imagine it in your head or in a movie, it's what we're going for. It's Engron that's going to be fighting Roll, let's say, but it's like Constantine against Abaddon. So everything around gets to culminate to the point where two characters are going to fight. So I find it funny that they gave up rules for that, but then how are we going to use it? Because with great power comes great responsibility. So it's kind of one of those cases.
I think
I'm under the impression that Games Workshop games, most of the times, each faction has its own stereotype, and they're really good at it. They're not just good at it; they're awesomely good at it. And the problem I can see with Duel is that there will be characters or even faction that are really good at Duel, making this experience fun for the person having those factions, but not fun on the receiving end. So what I saw in the previous edition is I would play against a Space Wolf who would kit out his character for Duel or end-to-end combat and just go through my troops. It's just like, it's so good at it that there's little to nothing I can do about it. Until my friend found this way of, for Space Thousand Sun, to snipe character with last cannon, which then is not fun for the other character. So it's so polarized how faction works that cool mechanics like Duel seems to be tough to be managing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and again, so much of this discussion revolves around we just need to see it in the wild. Now, we have an idea of how the rules work, but there's a growing frustration in me, especially. Like, I just want to see how this all fits together now. Well, another thing I thought about duels as well, how many times have you been at a tournament or a gaming weekend and your game ends early? Through no fault of anybody's own, just one person tables another, whatever. Instead of just going to the bar and have a drink, why not have a couple of duels? Like, there's normally a few players who end a bit early and you got a bit of time. Well, you could take your Praetor, you could take your character, and you're actually like fighting in the fighting pits, and do like it becomes like a little mini game, abstracted from the main game. And these are some of the conversations I've had with playtesters. So bookkeeping, that is a big thing. First game played took around 9 hours to play start to finish, purely through like looking at the rules and trying to play them correctly. But a lot of that, I get the feeling you're going to pick up very quickly. A bit like duels. So the first time you play a duel, it might take about 20 minutes to figure everything out. But the next time you play, it's going to take 10. The next time after that, it's going to take 5. As you become more familiar with the rules, all this bookkeeping is going to become contracted. So just be aware the first time you play the game is going to take a long time. There are a lot more mechanics overlapping one another. Things are drastically different. Weapons are different. So, but I dare say within a couple of months, you're going to handle it and it's going to speed up significantly for you.
Yeah, because like you said, like we're a bit all the same and we're making fun. We say it's with AI, but it's still a reality.
Yeah.
Like, for years, I haven't read a core book from Games Workshop from end to finish like I was doing in the past. Because in the past, it was written as you could read it. Now it's more written as a reference, as an index. So maybe AOS, 40K. Like the only one I read from start to finish is smaller games like Necromunda that is written differently, Warcry.
Yeah.
So it's normal that you're going to need to play some games to understand the game. So at the beginning, it's going to take a while. You're going to be flipping in your books, looking on your phone or your tablet. David is going to be reading page 12. I'm going to be at page 50, and I'm already going to be using advanced reaction when he's going to still we did it recently with AOS and Path to Glory. So we wanted to play game to learn the game, and like after 5 minutes, my dedicated brain cells to analyzing rules and reading through it was like, oh, I cracked the code, and Dave was like, what?
Yeah.
What you're doing? Oh, because you can do that in the new edition. So charge works like this, and then it's also already there's this loophole. It was like, so it's normal. We all need to learn the game. So, like you said, a new edition takes time. In this one, we're talking new duels, but new statuses. These seems to be putting a lot of emphasis on like pinning, stunning, doing stuff to units. So moral. With new stats, a bit like akin to Necromunda, so with cool and leadership. So but again, until we have a full context and we try it, I think it's a bit normal with all this change that people are asking themselves if they're gonna like it. But like, try it. Like, it's gonna be the same miniatures and the same fun, the same lore. It's just different rule set, and then you can just adapt over time. If you don't like duels with your friends, remove the duels. If you don't want to follow the force organization, do not do it. Like, no one's forcing you. You want to go back and play 2.0, play 2.0. But like, I think the positive side of it is they're still providing content and follow up to the game. So we should be at least like, they're giving a new edition and a new box.
I guess that's the key word, right? Content, right? I think this is a larger problem with. Oh, can I get my soapbox here? There's a larger. Oh, sorry, that's the mailman. Can we pause?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, give me 1 sec. 1 sec.
Go.
What we're doing? Rules mechanic.
Talked about rules.
Content. Yeah, the difference between content and I'll start that entire thing again. Okay, content. Yeah, I think it's like a big word, and it's a recurring word we see again and again and again, like the pressure to produce content. But content doesn't necessarily mean nourishing, fulfilling. Content is just something you produce for a schedule. I don't want that to become the new norm with Heresy. the Heresy is a slightly older client base. We don't mind waiting slightly longer for a more fulfilling, higher quality end result. But unfortunately, that's just not the business model anymore. It's produce something every 3 months for people to buy. I mean, if that's going to be the way we go, okay, but I just hope that the content that we get is good quality. And it's not just something there to hit for a release schedule produced by like the money men, the suits up above.
Yeah, that's a reflect of our society. So we want content, we want to be connected. Like, you need to feed the machine and the algorithm, but the downside of it, your hobby, is like getting subpar content just to get content. So
Yeah,
new
I mean, you're
units.
seeing Warhammer community, the Warhammer Plus thing. Like, it's terrible. It's dreadful. It's like once in every 6 months you'll get a really good release on there, but it's just packed full of dross. For the most part, they're imitating people who do it better for free on YouTube. So why on earth would you want to subscribe to it? These books that are being produced, the Necromunda books for me have been a little bit hit and miss recently. I mean, especially that I've been critical of the artwork inside it. All these like big vistas with nothing in there. And you compare them to like the 1988 artwork, like so brimming full of detail and rich lore and history. Like you look at a bulkhead in the artwork in the early 2000s, you understand the world. In these books, it just looks like somebody's scribbled very badly on Procreate. But that's a very highly critical view of it.
Necromunda is a good example, because when the new Necromunda came out, it was at a slower pace, a bit like... Because I think the thing is they're moving specialist game to have a normal release like the mainstream games. Now, what it does, like Necromunda example, for instance, that we would not want for Heresy, in my opinion, is I lost track at some point because they were churning too much releases of Necromunda and new rules and new books. And they were producing content like Necromunda never had content, but to what sacrifice?
It looks like if you want to follow a game, you should be playing just one game.
Yes, it's specialized.
I would expect
like that, ironically.
A specialist game like Necromunda, Horus Heresy, the old world, you would have one core book. It would last at maybe the cycle of 3 years, fine. But you would get small supplements for scenario and things, but not new rules every like 4 months, because it... But again, like a bit Myles, I think, said at the beginning, it's because they tie it to miniatures release. So you have the Necromunda, they're showing new Palatine releases and new Enforcers. Well, it's going to come with a book. And then when they're going to want to do a new gang, it's going to come with another book and another gang. So that's a bit the downside of it. So we get content, but what quality? So I think many of us that lived it with older games from Games Workshop, we were used, like you said, Myles, that, for example, Horus Heresy, you would get the black book, and then you would have to wait 4 years for the other one. That would... There's people that took 20 years before they got full rules for their army, because until the end of the black book series. So people were used to a slower pace. So we'll see how it goes. But I get what you mean.
And another thing that I've heard about quite frequently is the anxiety over the loss of the Heresy aesthetic. That when you look at the new Saturnine Terminators, how the armor plate is slightly more rounded, and it may not feel like it fits in that traditional, like very heavily blocky Heresy aesthetic. Now, I would argue that the Heresy aesthetic is different to the 40k aesthetic, where look at the Contemptor, for example. So Space Marine technology is all based around the aesthetic of a fist. When you look at the fingers, everything they have is a fist punching in the face. When you look at the Contemptor, it's slightly more rounded edges. You can tell this is a machine from a much more advanced technological age. So when you look at Saturnine Terminator armor, and we understand that the reason why it's called Saturnine Terminator armor is that it comes from the Saturn enclaves. So in the time of the Dark Age of technology, before the reunification, there are many different competing empires overlapping one another that had fallen, been built up, annexed each other, colonialism, whatever. But in this scenario, like the Saturnine Enclave produced the Saturnine Terminator plate. So you can see the different technological inspiration and manufacture of it in them. The Heresy aesthetic, I don't think it should ever be a fixed point. It should be something that's changeable, something that's mutable, something that evolves.
Yeah, and that you open vaults and you find new stuff, like the disintegrator stuff that they're introducing, saying like it comes from the old age. It was mainly on Terra, like the Emperor never shared it with Mars or whatever because he wanted to use it as a failsafe, blah blah blah. So there's like, and there's only a small part of the heresy we explored. Like we explored when after the Great Crusade and when all hell broke loose with chaos, but there was tons of stuff before, and that's what some people forget. When you read the Black Book and you read older stuff, they were hinting at some of those stuff. So if Games Workshop wants to stay in that sandbox and don't go in the scoring or further in the timeline, they're gonna go in those directions like they're doing now with Saturnine. So they're gonna introduce the Saturn enclave, then Venus, Jupiter, like all the other enclaves that were not tied to Mars, but over the heresy and crusade time were brought in, like you said, takeover, whatnot. But like or even we're gonna get out something from the Vault of Terra, like this is a gun from the Age of Strife. So it's like you said, it's gonna change, but it's never gonna be in my mind the same as 40K because anyway, we discussed it us on the podcast often. 40K is much more high fantasy than Horus Heresy, which is militaristic. It's like the foreseeable future of where humanity could have got. Where 40K, it's like we saw it at the end of the Heresy. Erebus fucked up everything. Chaos gods are there. There is only war, corruption. So it's another aesthetic. Like people are praying to a god emperor. Like it's completely other thing. So. But for sure, it's different than what we had for so many years. Like you said, the Saturnine do not look at all like what we've been used to. But after that, if you give me a lore explanation and you make me a scenario and like they say, like Vulcan wanted to improve on them, and you also have the usual Horus Heresy like sauce to it, like. Oh, it's weird. You need Space Marine with more psychic power to use those, which is it's okay. It's all gonna go well. So Saturnine corrupted traitor down the line. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, they're already planning additions to the Saturnine range. I have to say, the miniatures are much more impressive in person when you're twirling them around, like the bulk of them, the look of them. They don't look as dorky as they do on the website. Put it that way. They're they're certainly impressive sculpts. I mean, especially we've seen some leaks of the Dreadnought at time of recording as well. Like the level of detail that's on this thing.
Yeah,
it feels like a shame.
Like we've already seen it. Like
it feels like such a shame to put the shoulder pads on because of the amount of detail that's underneath there. But there we go. It's a really nice modelling opportunity for the entire range. But are you going to be adding Saturnine to your guys' armies? Do you think?
Yeah, but before going that, sure. I have a question for you, Myles. So I want to go back to what you said. You said the heresy aesthetics shouldn't be fixed. Why?
Yeah. Because if we kept it fixed, we'd still have the same scale as 1.0. We'd still have, like, in the scale of the small Reavers. Since then, we've evolved like a slightly different scale. Where we're seeing like Mark 6, the new Mark 3, it's changed. Even though the overall aesthetic stays the same, you should have the ability to evolve it over time. Like the Sakaran or the Contemptor, if we didn't have the ability to add to the range, then we'd still have just tactical Marines and Rhinos and Terminators, that's it.
Yeah, and if you there's an article that came out this week that we're recording, because I was always looking at the Mark II and I was looking at old pictures from Forge World, and I was like, well, they changed it a bit, and then they did an article on Warhammer Community that they basically explained that they wanted to change the Mark II, and they were explaining that they redesigned it because at the beginning they never designed it the way they wanted, and then they never produced it, so it stayed like that at Forge World with only 5 miniatures, 5 paws, and it stayed like that. So we get Mark II, but they redesign it because people were making fun of the helmet in the past, so they redesigned the helmet so it made more sense to Games Workshop mind of how it would fit. So They explain also that the rapier crew have a different mark of armor, because they said we don't want to do like in the past, like, okay, if we do Mark 4 and then your whole force is using Mark 3, then you end up with having to kit bash. So they said, but we're gonna do a new mark of armor for rapier crew. Use it also in the new edition. You can use those miniature that have different mark as a new unit also if you don't use them with a rapier. So, like you said, evolving stuff, but like staying true to the flavor, the aesthetic, but the being able to change it over time. Because let's be real, also they have to sell model and stuff if we want that they keep outputting content, whatever the pace. So I think it's normal that they change stuff over time. But like, there's going to be stuff that people like or don't like the Saturnine. But for example, for me, like, I find that it's a great refresher, and like, let's try it out. It's going to be different. So yeah, we can go in the miniature. So yeah, for myself, for sure, I'm going to be adding to my force. I'm playing Loyalist Luna Wolf, so we have old stuff that we need to get out from the vaults. So
yeah.
I started my Alpha Legion with this idea that they would have the latest mark of armor because they would get it by their own way. So I did my Alpha Legion mostly MK6. And then when I transferred to my Thousand Sun project, I was like, oh, they should have more older modeled mark of armor. So I used the MK3 at the time we had with the new bucks. So Saturnine, that's a good question. I'm going to add it at some point, but to which project, I'm not sure yet. Maybe if we do Istvan, and I do a new Legion to go with Istvan, maybe that's going to be the Legion.
Yeah, that's the thing. If we play the scenario from Istvan 5 and stuff, like, that's maybe going to nudge you more toward Alpha Legion, I guess. Or it could be your Thousand Suns, which is the other force from Dave. But yeah, the Praetor and the Dread, I saw like mock-up of people on Photoshop or Procreate of like different colors of the Dread. So the Dreadnought looks really, really cool. Like, I think part of the problem for many people, at least for me, so I think some people maybe are the same as me, is that they choose Salamander and they dig big shoulder pads with flames and everything, so it cuts the miniature in two portions. And it make you focus on the legs that look like Leviathan legs, and also the way they took the picture, it looks like proportion looks wrong. But when you see different paint jobs, which is more one like typical colors of the different Legion, it looks way better. So, and then we saw pictures and leaks, so it looks like a super detailed and great model. So, yeah, definitely adding it. We already all reserved our boxes, so I'm just waiting to get it. Mark II for sure for me, like it's heaven sent, so I can finally stop procrastinating and do some because they also lead like the Assault MK2. So Assault MK2, Assault Tactical, MK2 Tactical. Yeah, it's gonna be expensive.
Okay. It's gonna be amazing, yeah. So I assume we're all picking up the new Saturnine box set. What Legions are we going to be painting them up in?
I mean, it's gonna be all Luna Wolf for sure. It's the gray white. There's nothing else. I play only one army, like, so that's not gonna change. You're not gonna. I play two first company or the rest, so I already have two color scheme. That's enough.
Oh, but I mean, this edition very heavily leans into allied detachments. Do you think you'd ever be tempted to do like maybe a little ally for your Luna Wolves?
Who's gonna trust me? Dave and Kevin do not trust me.
Emperor's Children, maybe.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, sure. That's gonna go well.
Murder. You could do the world
purple,
murder.
More murderous magenta.
Yeah.
But you, other than the gazillion commissions you're gonna do, so you're gonna add it to your Blood Angel? Are you done with Blood Angel, Clamato Crimson and stuff?
No. So right now, because of the just sheer bulk of commissions again in for Saturnine, I don't want to commit to paint a Saturnine box set for myself because I know I'm going to be a little bit tired of painting those miniatures by the time I've come to the end of those commission cycles. So instead, I've been trying to think of ways to like refresh my old armies. And one of the ways I've thought of, okay, why not just add a new character to it? So I've been working on this. It's a sculpt by Wilf from Divergent Realms. I've been did a little conversion using Horus Ascended, his cloak, cut that up, smashed that on there, and I am painting this up. It's kind of like a dual purpose for early era Black Legion, Abaddon before he had Drachnine, and later Sons of Horus. So the amount of time that I put into a box set, I'm going to put into Abaddon instead as a bit of a refresher.
Which is great for the first captain.
Yeah, alongside him, I did dig up an old Loken miniature that I'd started painting but I hadn't finished. So I'm currently working on him right now. And I've also been playing around with Company of Bitter Iron, his prints. So I've been putting together like a little test piece.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing your...
still on your Sons of Horus?
Yes, Sons of Horus interests me more than the Blood Angels because it was such a like unique project, or a very like concentrated project. The Justarian army. It works well as a collection, but doesn't actually translate onto the tabletop. It doesn't operate very well on the game. So I've bought a couple of I bought one Charybdis, a couple of Dreadclaws to bring them in. I've been trying to think of things that would naturally support a first. A Sons of Horus first command army. So Catchlan Reavers are a natural choice, but they're very good at killing infantry, the same as the Justarian, very good at killing infantry. I've been trying to think of things that would fit in alongside them, but also can like bust tanks. Dreadnoughts, maybe, Deradios, are they slow enough? I've settled on a Warhound Titan. So I'm going to be painting up a Warhound Titan alongside them.
Seeing your Loken cloak, I thought like, I know how to do that thanks to the masterclass.
Masterclass. Come to the masterclass next time there's one. Yeah, it's a bit the same thing for me. Like, I don't know if you remember, like I painted during COVID, like Justarian. So I did like 20 Justarian. So I have 20 Justarian, but I can never use them in an actual game. So my Lunar army is basically Justarian. So it's a bit the same concept for me for this new edition. I want to paint more tanks and troops because right now it's like not really. But I guess for you, it's a bit the same as for me. It's a nice project because it was a small force. But after that, to actually enjoy the game, it's harder. Like,
you need to be able to take on infantry, tanks, and anything in between. And right now, I just have a bunch of Justarian that can plod across the battlefield and just get plinked off. It's not an army. It's a great thematic collection, but it's not a gaming army. So those, I want to add slight additions to it to convert it into a gaming army. I've put in the hard yards, actually painting the damn thing. I want to enjoy it in this edition. But my main painting project at the moment is the Black Legion.
Yeah.
And I'm still very enthusiastic about that force, and I'm still not putting the brakes on that. But I did want to do something within the Heresy, because the Blood Angel army is good to go. That is my gaming army. I can take that out of the box and just go straight away. But I do want to learn how to play the Sons. I want the Sons of Horus to be my 3.0 army. Starting in 2.0, I want this to be my 3.0 army.
But the Black Legion, you want to use it in 30k, or you going to play 40k one day?
Oh, dude, I have no idea. I hadn't thought that far ahead. This is more
painting project.
It's a painting project, yeah. So we've had a lot of Chaos releases recently, and we hadn't had so much in the way of like Horus Heresy army stuff. So I was feeling a little bit like underwhelmed with the things we were getting. So I wanted to use all the old units that I loved in the Horus Heresy and just convert them up to be Black Legion. These are my Cacophony or Noise Marines. I've started putting down the base coats on my Death Guard. This will come through. There we go. Nice shiny Death Guard.
Ooh,
what am I doing
nice
there?
Shiny decaled metal.
Yeah, nice shiny metal. So I've taken all the units that I love, bastardized them, cut them up, and true scaled the project. But it's very much that's not a gamer's army whatsoever. I have no interest in playing 40k whatsoever. I mean, if somebody wanted a game, I'd give it a go. But I've been obsessed by the scouring for the past year or so. I'm going to see if I can
you did
convince a few
article and
people.
stuff on the Bad War and all that stuff also. No?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to try and convince a few people to play games of Horus Heresy with me, but use Black Shield rules or Shattered Legion rules, whichever ones suit the army best at that particular time. I'm going to see where I can use them.
Cool. Yeah. Use those Black Legion stuff, maybe.
Yeah,
Kind of
exactly.
as proto Black Legion.
Proto Black Legion, yeah, because they do rely on the strength of the Black Legion is the mix of units, not Legion unity. So they're not going to have all the advantages of a single coherent Legion force, but they are going to have very specialist elements in the army that can help them out.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's still the project of trying to do fast paces game, like to use my Justerin and other stuff of Zone Mortalis. So we tried to mash up the rules from Warcry and 30K. So that's still a project I think I'm going to relaunch with the new edition. So have some games that you can use kind of a warband. So you can use your painting projects and without having a full army and the full rule to do something quick.
Yeah.
But that gets us then to my next thing I wanted to discuss. So what do we think about the journal? Because for me, other than the models and the rules, what I'm excited about is the journals that they're gonna seems to be going the same way as the old world. So you get a journal, couple of pages of lore, scenario. So really like a supplement. So it's only like 40, 60 pages. Now, as we discussed a bit earlier, what is the quality of that content? We'll see. But at least from what they showed, cool maps, revisiting like stuff that we all know about the drop site massacre, but revisiting it with at least introducing why is there Saturnite armor over there, what's the forces. So yeah, what we think. So David, I know you really like your journal in the old. So were you excited when you saw they were going in this direction?
So what's interesting about the journal, the first one I bought was the Bretonian journal. There's this scenario, but it's not like just one page and here's the objective is how you win. There's like 2 pages of story behind the scenario, a map of where the military operation leading up to the scenario. And then I checked the dwarf yesterday, and it's not exactly the same thing, but in the Bretonian, they would tell you this is what you should have in your list when playing the scenario. And that's the part I love. Playing historical war game, I love when you tell me this was the battle, and here's what was at that battle. I love that. So that's what I hope for this journal. I would have loved more than one scenario, but if it's a well fleshed out scenario, it can be a whole hobby project in itself, and I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. What do you think, Myles, that they chose the drop site massacre?
It's just quality, right? They could be like 40-page slipcase things. Yeah, great. But if the quality's there, I don't think people will mind paying. The problem I can see right off, it's like I'm a savant or something, is going to be the price. How many times are we going to get these journals? How often are they going to be released? With the Necromunda books, I fell off really quickly because I just simply could not keep buying all of them for every different house, every different sub-faction, everything else. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't afford it. I think very quickly you're going to see a similar scenario here, and unfortunately it's going to open up piracy. I mean, let's be honest, like we all live in the real world, right? It's just going to open up. So instead of getting one bespoke release where it's a collector's item that could be cherished, you're going to get these disposable journals in one year out the other. They're going to be leaked everywhere online. Games Workshop have never advertised themselves as a gaming company, and this certainly doubles down on that reputation, that we're not going to, they certainly aren't looking to make, I guess, profit off these journals. Or maybe the small amount of profit they bring in keeps it revolving around. I'm not advocating piracy at all, by the way. If you love this game, if you want to support it with your cash, support it monetarily. But
support your local stores.
Yes. For me, is it worth my money? Depends on the quality. If they grade A books, I will 1,000,000,000% support them with my hard-earned cash. But I guess the bar is set slightly higher than, say, a black book, where you had the nice plush presentation that went alongside it.
Black book were amazing, but Kevin brought my attention on something. We idealized them a little bit, because when you look at some of the scenario in the black book, they're pretty generic. Yeah. It's just play an ambush, and it's a generic map with generic rules to play an ambush.
But I think the black book, it was a couple of things that were making them so great in our mind. First, we were waiting so long for them that we're really happy when we were getting them. The perceived value of the black book, like the way they were made, like the quality they had, the paper, everything, the artwork, everything was designed. But let's all be realistic, like a bit like you said, it's anathema to the model of a company like Games Workshop now. They don't want to put that amount of time, or at least they would maybe do like I know both of you guys really like that, the Siege of Terra books. You have the normal version and you have the perceived value collector version. Now, fuck you butts, but like it's almost impossible to get. But I would way prefer that we get books like, for example, the black books or the Siege of Terra limited edition books. But the problem it creates is they cannot churn them out at a volume, at a price that makes sense for their model. But we go back again, quality. If it's 40 page, but it's 40 page of 20 page of new lore, good maps and nice scenario, then it's worth it and people are going to buy it. But if it's just 40 page of basic stuff just put there by an intern that made the rules and rehash the lore, it's nothing new, and then just a couple of pictures, then people are going to buy them just to get the new units or like pirate them.
You have to say, I am hopeful for these new journals based on what the Warhammer Fantasy journal, the Warhammer Fantasy journals have been excellent. They've been consistently excellent across the board. So that is reassuring that the quality of those can translate over to Heresy as well.
Yeah, David is really a big advocate, and a couple of other people from our community of the podcast, like that play the old world. And we reviewed some with David, like the quality is really more close to what Games Workshop was outputting during Warhammer Fantasy Battle and old 40k time. And we can hope that it's because they give that treatment to the specialist, quote unquote, games. So Heresy and the old world. So, okay, it's for a different... Because the old world is like Horus Heresy. It's for people that wanted to play Warhammer Fantasy Battle. So it's a different crowd than their mainstream game, if you want to say it like that. So hopefully they give the same kind of treatment and attention to details. Because what excites me is if the journals work and they're good, I want to see what battlefield they're going to choose. Like probably one of the next one, because of the advertisement they're doing, is going to be Siege of Catonia. So they're going to redo probably, I guess, a journal, because they're in their roadmap, they're already talking Ducty, which were introduced in Siege of Catonia. So I'm all for more lore about Catonia. The Siege of Catonia book from 2.0, it's one of the few books in the last 2 years from Games Workshop, like not novels, that I read from cover to cover, because it was full of snippets of lore and maps and things on Catonia and Sons of Horus #LunaWolf. So was pretty great. So if we get that type of content, that's similar to what we were getting with the black books. But one thing I would ask you guys, so what would you like to see as a journal if they're great and they work? So what would you like to explore in the Heresy?
David, do you want to go first? I need to think about this.
Pluto. So when the Alpha Legion goes to Pluto, so a journal with Alpha Legion and Imperial Fists, and a way to play maybe the last battle between Alfarius and Rogaldor.
And Dorn.
I would like to see a fully fleshed out Shadow Crusade campaign. I think that's such an intriguing part of the history.
Yeah, it's true.
And I don't think we even got a black book. Oh, well, we got a couple of bits and pieces, but we didn't get it with Lorgar.
It got less attention.
Yeah, we certainly got the Betrayal at at Calth, but we didn't get like the War in Armatura or Angron's Ascension. I would like to see that narrative played out in Black Book form or journal form. Yeah, that.
Mm-hmm. For me, it would be all the. It was covered a bit in the Black Book, but the full Tramas Crusade with the Dark Angel, Red Guard, Night Lords. Like we had a couple of books on that, but you get the feeling when you read the books that you missed so much of what happened during that time. Take more time with the Night Lords and the Dark Angels, Dead Guards. Yeah. Or another one I was thinking about is all the Blood Angel on Cygnus Prime.
Yeah, that'd be a cool one. Like reintroduction of the demons, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see Blood Angels face off against Astartes, because so much of the Blood Angel early storyline is wrapped up with them versus demons. Whereas I think a lot of the like drama that I really like is Astartes v Astartes, dude on dude action. I want more dude on dude action for the Blood Angels. So seeing them at what's the Empire? Just that's the nexus to Terra.
Beta Garmin?
Yes, Beta Garmin. Yes, that. Beta Garmin. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do one because they did a book in 2.0, so I guess they seems to be, if they do it for Siege of Cottonia, I guess they would redo it for the Martian Civil War and Molech and also Beta Garmin. Yeah, pretty cool. I would like to see. So I don't know. That's more like we're more in the future. So when these things happen and 3.0. Now the Siege of Terra is done, also the book series, so they're revisiting Ishvan 5. So that's the first new thing that they're doing. So what do we think? Do we think in the future they're going to go backwards to the Great Crusade? They're going to only revisit, or they're going to go in the scarring? So that's kind of a lower question. Or
I think they're going to redo the heresy. Wishlisting, I would love for them to move on to the scouring. Because the models are there, the narrative in Black Library is over now, and I think there's new fertile ground to explore in the Scouring. I'd like them to move the book series over to that as well. But I think they're going to redo the Heresy. I don't think they'll ever go back to the Great Crusade, because it involves them producing a whole new set of specialist alien races that are just used in that time. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, but the scarring, they could be reusing what they have.
Yeah, but Marines v Marines again.
They would be doing kits that would be closer to 40k for the trader forces. So that's what makes me doubt they would. But I would really like the scoring also, because it would close the loop on some characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if we go back to some things we said, so the birth of the Horus Heresy was like an outlier, Alan Bly, outside of the main studio, doing mostly artistic work that was then absorbed, but that's a lot of work. And what we said during this episode is they don't want to put a lot of work. They just want to have product, move them, sell them. So doing the scouring would kind of need this first artistic impulse to flesh it out and make it a product. So maybe they won't do it because of that.
Yeah, that's why I don't think the scouring will happen. So that's why also I'm more on the line of they will revisit the heresy, like they're already showing it with the drop site massacre. So they're going there, adding new units, a bit of lore, but they're not redoing the whole canvas of everything. Like the scoring, or at least it could be the Balabor, because they have more material on that, but it's less known. But we never know. But yeah. Hopefully those journals are great, and we get some.
You have to think. We haven't seen much output from the lead writers, the lead writers of the Horus Heresy. So people like Aaron Dembski-Bowden, Abnett, Wright. We haven't seen much output for them for the past year.
They're working on something.
What have they been working on? And you need a new book series akin to the Horus Heresy after over 10 years. That's a big money spinner for them. Perhaps this is pure wish list on my part. Perhaps they are outlining the major beats of the scouring going forward. Who knows?
Because that's what we discussed. We discussed, me and Dave, the last book of Siege. No, not the last book, The End and the Death. I don't even know if David read Era of Rune. Shame on you. But
fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I like 3 times shame on me now.
I know. Each time you get this new release of the Siege of Terror, you're like, oh,
yeah,
no, exactly, coming back again. So, but that's what we discussed exactly. Like we said, now all those great writers from Black Library, they're on an island sipping margaritas? Like, what are they
on
doing?
Epstein's Island.
Because they're not doing 40K books. They're not doing AOS books. They're not doing the Old World books. What are they working on? And knowing company like Games Workshop, we saw it with Saturnine. They said they started to design the box and MK2 in 2021, I think they said. So they're already on manuscript and something else. But that's what I want to know in the future. The logical thing would be they could be working on 40K because they want to flesh out more 40K, which was never really structured the way Horus Heresy was. But hopefully it's something.
Horus Heresy was a huge success, the whole line of books. Yes. And maybe it's my echo chamber or totally anecdotal, but it doesn't seem like Down of Fire worked as much as the Horus Heresy worked. So it's interesting what you say, your hypothesis that they might be either working on putting it back.
They use Guy Haley to structure Dawn of Fire like they wanted to replicate what they were doing in the Heresy. So they had a book series. They were doing connected books that would fit with characters from. So they did the same thing, but I get the same feeling as you. I don't think it worked as much, but again, we're child from the Horus Heresy. So for sure, even when they were churning out Dawn of Fire books, I was like, when's the next book of Horus Heresy coming? And when it comes out, after 2 nights, it's done. I read it. So it's we're maybe not as much involved in those books as we were with Horus Heresy. So maybe we're biased, but like, yeah, let's see where it gets through. Great. So we've been rambling on for a while. So my Clamato's getting hot.
Whoops.
So anything else you guys want to add? Dave, you have a...
I want land speeder in plastic, please.
Oh, yes. It's true. You have white scars that have teal plates under their white paint. Yeah, sure. It's true. Javelin, speeders didn't get much love in 2.0. Let's hope for more in 3.0.
Yeah.
Myles,
any
wish in your heart?
Not wish, but I want to leave a hanging question for the community that have read this. Listen to this. Everything's moving over to plastic. Forge World as an entity, it looks like they've ceased entirely. Resin is going the way of the dodo. So inevitably, there will be a plastic Primarch for 30K released. Which will be the first Primarch released in plastic?
Yeah, put it in the comments. Tell us
answers down below.
Yeah, answers down below which Primarchs you want to see. Because yeah, it's true. I think we can agree that the day is gonna come. We're gonna see character in plastic. It's a Games Workshop. I don't think want to stay with resin, so they're gonna have to redo what's in resin. So tell us what characters you want to see in plastic to kit bash and to have fun with. Great. So let's do the thing. So Myles, where can we reach you? Where can we shout at you for all the stuff you said today?
Type Little Legend into Google, you'll find me.
Oh, that's great.
Google me. I'm everywhere.
Google me.
Google me.
Hopefully they don't catch your OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
Little Legend. Do not enter his name.
That's the real gem.
Studio. Yeah.
That's a real gem in the crown.
You don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So
you do.
Ooh, so if you want to reach us, you want to shout at us, you want to leave us a 5-star review, you want to send us mail, you want to tell us that we have destroyed your hope of heresy, which would be a heresy, just find us on the different platforms. Spotify, we have our link tree. You can go on our different group on Facebook. Discord is always one thing that's pretty popular. So come, leave a comment. Tell us if what you want that Dave does with his books that are going to be useless at this point. An altar, a collage, scrapbooking. We do a raffle. Dave, do you want to raffle your books?
No.
Like, put in comments on the video. Reach out to us. Like, it's gonna for sure. We're gonna be talking more about heresy in the coming weeks and months. I'm already having ideas to playing games and trying out stuff. But like, yeah, it's gonna be fun time. So thank you, Myles, for being with us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Can't wait to come back on again. I'm going to invite myself back on again soon.
Let's do that again. So thank you. And we have one thing that we say at the end. Oh, we're not.
Sorry.
Like that. So we have a thing at the end of the episode, and we do it in English also. We wish to people to have a good painting night because it's the name of the podcast, but in French.
Okay.
So Soirée Peinture. So you gotta have to do some French tonight or today for us.
Okay.
You have to say have a good painting night. In French is Bonne Soirée Peinture.
Bonne Soirée Nature?
Almost. Peinture. With a
Good.
P.
Not okay. I'll say in Welsh. Nostar.
Oh, that works too. Get Welsh.
Nostar.
Fine.
Yeah.
Bonne Soirée Peinture.